Most people don't think about this until they have to, but at some point the question becomes, how do we actually pay for care? I'm Carrie Syson, founder of Your Final Matters, and I help people to get their paperwork and their practical ducks in a row so their family aren't left trying to figure everything out at the worst possible time. This is part of my equity release and later life planning series, and in this episode I'm focusing on how equity release may be used to help fund care. Just a reminder, I'm not giving any legal or financial advice. I'm here to help you understand the options and get organised, but you should always speak to a regulated advisor before you make any decisions. So let's start with how this tends to look over time. When people first come into later life, say around 55 to 70, I appreciate it depends what age you are now as to how you see later life age, but equity release is often used for things like supporting early retirement, helping children financially, for example, with a deposit or for school fees, or for funding home improvements, cars, or even holidays for that bucket list. And at that stage, it's still very much about lifestyle and choice. But as people get older, and particularly when care needs start to come into the picture, that's when things begin to shift. Savings and investments may start to dwindle and run down a little bit, and equity release might become more about meeting a need rather than funding a want. And this is the point where the conversation moves from choice to necessity. So how is equity release actually used in the care context? It can be a really practical tool to help fund care at home, what's often called domiciliary care, so having somebody come in to help with day-to-day things. It could be to pay for live-in care. It could cover part-time or occasional support, or it could contribute towards the costs of moving into a specialist retirement community, depending on the product rules of the equity release product. There is one key constraint, though, to be aware of. Equity release is secured against your main residence, and the lender will only agree to it if the borrower, or at least one of the borrowers, is still living at that property and the property is fully insured. However, the money released can still be used to pay for care elsewhere. So, for example, if one spouse moves into a residential care and the other stays living in their home, then equity release could still be an option and used to help fund those care costs. And that flexibility can be really important, especially for couples where their needs start to differ over time, because one of them might need care, but the other one wants to stay living in familiar surroundings at their own home. So in simple terms, equity release isn't just about unlocking money. It can become a way of staying in control of your care choices, staying in control of your own environment and how you're supported later in life. This is often where this topic becomes very real for families, and this is part of my equity release and later life planning series, so please keep going through the rest. If it's helped, please follow at Your Final Matters on Instagram or Facebook. Do subscribe to this channel, and please share this with someone who may be supporting ageing parents and looking at equity release. I've got a website, yourfinalmatters.co.uk, and you can contact me there to find out how I might be able to help you further. Because while you still have a voice, you have a choice.